No one expected this. Not this early in the season, not with everything the Chargers have already been juggling. But right now, behind the scenes, something big is happening, something that could completely reshape the Chargers' offense. And if this move pays off, it might be the moment we look back on and say, that's when everything changed. Let's get into it. All right, the LA Chargers are quietly preparing a major shift on the offensive line, and honestly, it's the kind of move that finally makes sense. Now, before we dive into the newest updates, do me one quick favor, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon, so you never miss the latest Chargers news. Alright, let's get straight to it. Even though we're Detroit Lions fans, this channel is fully dedicated to covering the Chargers with an outside, unbiased perspective, and because of that, we see things from angles fans inside the bubble sometimes miss. Now let's talk about the question everyone's been waiting on. Coach Harbaugh was asked about Trevor Penning and how quickly he's settled in. And in classic Harbaugh fashion, he delivered. He said Penning has been phenomenal. Smart. Locked in. Getting up to speed faster than expected. And when Harbaugh was asked who Penning reminds him of, the first name that came to mind was Bobby Hart, another guy who came in and grasped the system fast. And honestly, that changes everything. Because suddenly, at the tackle spots, the Chargers aren't just patching holes. They're actually in good shape. Penning stepping in gives this line a pulse. Hart and Pipkins on the right side? Solid. Competitive. Reliable. But of course, there's still one looming question, Mike Becton. The Chargers need him. They really do. But for once, the cupboard isn't empty. They're not desperate. They've got options, and that's something this offense hasn't had in a long time. Big changes might be coming, and they might be the right ones. Stay with me, alright, so here's where things get interesting. If the Chargers are going to shake up this offensive line, then this is the moment. Throw Penning in there and see what he really brings. And let's be honest, the biggest mystery right now isn't Penning, it's Mike Becton. He was supposed to be the steady anchor, the guy everyone trusted. But suddenly he's the one question mark hovering over the entire line. The team needs him. Simple as that. And last week? Out of all 5 starters, he had the lowest pass blocking efficiency. That says a lot. So if Penning locks down the left side, Becton steps up, and Pipkins holds his spot, you finally start to see the outline of something functional. Hart might return, maybe not, but the point is, the Chargers finally have movement. Possibility. A pulse. If I'm a Chargers fan, I'm seeing something I haven't seen in weeks, hope. Because this line has been nothing but frustration, injuries, and bad breaks. But sometimes all it takes is one new piece to spark something different. One guy who comes in with fresh energy, a fresh mindset, and suddenly the whole unit starts to gel in a way it hasn't before. Penning wasn't just a throw-in. This is a player who came from New Orleans after starting everywhere on the line, young, experienced, versatile. A guy who just needed a new environment. And now he walks straight into a playoff race where every snap matters. It feels like the start of something. And I think Chargers fans can feel it too. Stay with me. Go ahead and drop your thoughts on this, because the matchup gets even more interesting from here. Let's talk about the keys to this game. The Jaguars are convinced that if their run game wakes back up, everything else will fall into place. And honestly, for most of the season, their ground attack has been one of the few things they could rely on. But last week? It evaporated. It wasn't just bad, it was a full-on collapse. Watching them struggle that badly makes this matchup suddenly unpredictable. And then there's Travon Walker. He's trying to find his rhythm, trying to prove he's more than just potential. In his mind, this is his chance, going up against what he believes is a weakened Chargers offensive line. A chance to finally put together the kind of performance people expected when Jacksonville took him before Aiden Hutchinson. And while Walker's had moments, Hutchinson has been the star of that draft class. Everyone knows it. Walker knows it too. But here's where things tilt back toward the Chargers. Their schedule is setting up beautifully. One more game, then a much-needed break. Everything is spaced out in a way that gives them breathing room, time to reset, and a chance to hit the second half with real momentum. And once they dive back into divisional play, that's where things get really compelling. Because remember, they started the year against division opponents, went 3-0, and looked dangerous. That feels like forever ago, but those wins mattered. Now they get another crack at Denver, Kansas City, and the rest of the AFC West. Those games will define the season. A lot is coming. And it's coming fast. Stay with me. Alright, here's something that really caught my eye. As I was digging through some of the expert picks, it was almost unanimous. A lot of people are leaning toward the Chargers in this matchup. Vegas has them favored by 3, which basically tells you this game could swing either way. But here's the truth, this matchup is a lot tougher than it looks on paper. Because Jacksonville isn't just trying to win, they absolutely have to win. And desperation is one thing you can't fake. A team fighting to keep its season alive plays with a different kind of edge, a different kind of attitude. That's what makes this dangerous. If the Chargers fly across the country and knock off a desperate Jaguars team, that would say a lot. That would say this team is not just surviving injuries, not just hanging around, they're building momentum at the perfect time. And think about what that would mean. Back-to-back wins over the Steelers and the Jaguars, two teams directly competing with LA for playoff positioning. Beat both of them, and suddenly the Chargers don't just have the tiebreaker, they have the inside track. You're almost locking yourself into the postseason. And in today's NFL, that's all that matters. With the schedule stretched out the way it is, with that extra game added, postseason football has turned into pure endurance. There's only one first round by now, one team per conference. Everyone else? They're fighting every week. No team can afford to chase the perfect seed anymore. It's too exhausting, too costly. We saw it last year with the Detroit Lions. They pushed hard for the top seed, played like every week was a championship game, and by the end, too many bodies were gone. The intensity wasn't sustainable. One or two mistakes in the playoffs, and suddenly the season was over. And that's the reality now. Forget the pretty path. Just get in, and let momentum do the rest. Stay with me. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple mission, just make it into the playoffs. That's the whole goal. Once you're in, anything can happen. Now, shifting gears for a moment. There's something about great sports movies that sticks with you. Remember the Titans is one of those films that hits on every level, powerful story, unforgettable moments, and lessons that stay with you long after the credits roll. The way it dives into the tension of that era, the way the characters grow, the way Denzel Washington commands the screen, it grabs you. And that line, make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans. Man, even thinking about it gives you chills. It's that kind of storytelling that stays in your head. Another film that did that for me was Avatar, the first one. Seeing it in 3D for the very first time felt unreal. The world building, the immersion, it was like stepping into another reality. Even if I'm not the biggest movie person, that one stuck with me.